Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nufara Hanif Metin Roshidi. Today I will present about the contribution of socio-demographic factors to nutritional status of children. I will start with the introduction, which is background of study. Malnutrition among children is a major public health problem, especially in developing countries. Malnutrition can be caused by many factors, especially in socio-demographic factors. This can be proven by a study by Ali Nasir et al. That found the prevalence of underweight, stunting, and wasting among food insecure children in Kelantan were 61%, 61.4%, and 36% due to low socioeconomic status and household food insecurity. Other studies by World Health Organization found that malnutrition affects all aspects of children's health, including physical health, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. Next, the objective. The general objective of this study is to determine the contribution of socio-demographic factors to nutritional status of children. The specific objectives are to determine the nutritional status, which is BMI for age and height for age of children, and to measure the association between socio-demographic factor and nutritional status of children. The problem statement for this study are there are many socio-demographic characteristics that influence the nutritional status of children. For example, the age, sex, education, migration background, ethnicity, household, employment, and many more. Children who are consuming low macronutrient and micronutrient will also give impact to their nutritional status. A study in Indonesia point that education of both parents, which is part of socio-demographic factor, will influence their children either being underweight or overweight. This study also showed that in their studies, they found that low intake of micronutrients such as calcium, ferrum, vitamin C, and vitamin A are including normal weight and overweight children in Indonesia. The justification of this study is there is still limited information about the nutritional status in Malaysia, and the inadequate nutrient and dietary pattern among children have to be discovered to prevent them from facing malnutrition problem. More studies have to be made to identify specific factors that most contribute to nutritional status of children. Next, I will present about the literature review. Uh, First, the literature review about the studies on method that were used to assess the nutritional status of children. There are three studies that I have made, which is for the first one by Cheng et al. In South China. For these findings, they are using the Chinese Children Dietary Index. The intake of vegetable, fruit, and soybeans in Chinese children and adolescents were much lower than the recommended intake levels, while the consumption of fried food increased rapidly. And they also proven that food pattern on Western food were higher in Chinese children compared to vegetables and other health food. Other studies by Rubio Lopez et al. In Spain, they are using descriptive cross-sectional study, which is ANIVA, and they found that 25.8 of children present with inadequate calcium intake. They also found that children with adequate calcium intake were significantly taller compared to children with inadequate calcium intake. And lastly, for the studies by Mark et al. In Philippines, they are using dietary diversity scores. The socioeconomic status was strongly associated with DDS, whereby those from the highest socioeconomic group had the highest height diet diversity. The children from urban areas were likely to reach 100 adequacy in riboflavin, thiamine, and zinc with lower DDS compared to children from rural areas. And the other literature reviews is studies on association between socio-demographic factors and nutritional status of children. There are also three studies that I have made The first one is Grosso and Galvano, which is in Southern European countries. The findings that I have found is the adherence of Mediterranean diet among children and adolescents. Higher adherence to Mediterranean diet may affect chronic disease, morbidity, and increased life expectancy. And this is also consistently rate with demography and socio characteristic of the children and their parents. For the second is Cheng et al. In South China. Um, they have found that eating breakfast or having dinner with parents were associated with lower risk of childhood overweight or obesity. And diet quality of children from households where both parents have a high level of education was higher than those from households where both parents do not have a high level education. And lastly, studies by Whitrow and al. At Australia, they found that Australian children were not educated in terms of calcium, whereas intake of sodium, sugar, and saturated fat were excessive, and the educational level of mother and household income of parents affect the children to achieve portion to eat fruit and dairy products. And as a conclusion, socio-demographic factor also plays a big role that influence the nutritional status of children. There are many clear evidence that shows a positive correlation between the education of family, history background, and socio-economic status that can influence the development of children. Therefore, more research is required to fully understand the nutritional status of children and association between the factors that were present. And this is the reference that I have made in this slide. That's all. Thank you.